Hello everybody and welcome to ILC Dover's webinar today. We're going to be taking a look at a range of specialized flexible film isolator solutions that are designed for safe handling of oxygen sensitive materials. So what are these materials? Well, we're talking about microbiome therapeutics, we're talking about oxygen sensitive anaerobes, we're talking about lyophilized interfaces, and also, of course, cell banking. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the ILC Dover Corporation. ILC Dover is an organization of over 1,000 skilled employees. Our main area in life is manufacturing flexible film materials and goods. We are world leaders in this area, and if I show you our product portfolio, pharmaceutical containment, biopharmaceutical, of course, personal safety in this COVID year of the pandemic. We've been very big in PPE manufacturing. Dover are also developing some very interesting flood protection systems. Over on the bottom right, aerospace. Dover make the space suits for NASA and Boeing. And one of our great strengths is bulk packaging and powder containment technology. So in today's webinar, I want to explore the benefits of single-use technologies, and especially with regard to flexible film isolator technology. You may ask, why single-use? Well, single-use eliminates batch-to-batch cleaning. We eliminate not only the cleaning, but the cleaning validation. Faster to market. A single-use isolator can be delivered pre-qualified, so we get you into the marketplace faster, and we're selling you a consumable product and not a project. So comparing our flexible film isolator to a hard shell, shorter lead time, lower price, and delivered ready to run. Talking about faster, you know, the great thing about these flexible film systems is the campaign changeover time is hours, whereas with a stainless steel isolator you could be looking at days or even weeks to do the cleaning validation, waiting for the results of the cleaning validation to come back from the lab. This flexible film technology is fast. The time savings, because we're hanging up weeks or days with cleaning validation, means you've got significantly lower operational costs over hard shell designs. And of course, a flexible film isolator is a fraction of the cost of a hard shell stainless steel isolator. So capital savings as well. One of the things to remember about our flexible film isolator systems are that as you change or develop your process equipment, we can change the position of gloves, we can change the isolator design slightly to accommodate any new processes or machinery. So we think that this single-use technology has got significant benefits for our customers. Here you see a flexible film single-use isolator at the end of the campaign being collapsed down for complete disposal. And that's how easy it is. We can change over a flexible film system from taking the contaminated isolator down, putting a new one up, starting the run test within hours. Very fast changeover. Now, when we think about our target here in low oxygen content isolator technology, there are a number of serious challenges because we're trying to combine containment. We've got low gas flows. We want to run at negative pressure to make sure there's no API or BSL, particle migration out of the isolator. We want a fully disposable system so that at the end of the operation, just like you saw in the previous picture, all the contaminated parts can be rolled up, taken away for incineration. And as it says in this slide in the middle here, we can supply these systems gamma irradiated for added purity. Now, we link to the negative pressure and the single-use system, the requirement to inert gas saturate to reduce oxygen content or relative humidity inside the flexible film enclosure. And all of these give us a significant challenge from a design point of view. But what we need to deliver to our customers is a reliable system, so it operates day after day, campaign after campaign, giving you safe containment, giving you safe disposal, and delivering these low oxygen contents that you need for your manufacturing process. Today, we're going to be discussing 3 specific systems: manual gas flow control, manual gas flow control with automated fan compensation, and then a fully automated system where the gas flow control and the fan purge are all push button controlled on an HMI. Let's start with something simple. So here in this image we have what we call a SOLO lab. The SOLO lab is a simple bench top pop-up isolator with a carbon rod frame system. So here the lady's piped in nitrogen gas at the bottom right. We allow the gas and air mixture to vent until we get to the right saturation inside the isolator. Sorry, just moving the part there. Pardon me. We inflate with nitrogen until we get the required gas saturation level, and then we seal the vent filter and the gas line off. We make sure that the gas saturation level inside is where we want to be, and with the gas supply and the venting system sealed off, the SOLO lab will hold the gas saturation for 2 to 3 days. However, let me point out, because the SOLO lab is moderately inflated to get the gas saturation, we shouldn't really be using it for a containment application. A little bit more sophisticated, we have what we call the SOLO Flex solution. The SOLO Flex is an off-the-shelf standard design available in 3 sizes: 2 gloves wide, 3 gloves wide as is shown here, or 4 gloves wide. And the SOLO Flex operates at negative pressure. So the way we handle the SOLO Flex for a gas saturated operation is we apply the nitrogen inlet pipe directly to the intake HEPA filter. So instead of pulling facility air from the room, we pull nitrogen gas from the pipeline through a pressure reduction system. That fills the first chamber, the airlock chamber, and then the main chamber with the nitrogen. We continue to inflate and vent the nitrogen until we get to the required saturation level. We use the fan speed control. You can see the fan is sat underneath the workbench. Manual speed control. We adjust the fan speed control till we get the right pressure balance, so we're maintaining minus 30 pascals within the work chamber. And then again, we can hold this ongoing system, providing the nitrogen supply and the fan balance matches. It will hold a given gas saturation for hour after hour. We must remember, however, with the SOLO Flex, that we need to shut down the nitrogen supply and purge back to safe air before opening the airlock to load more materials. So the key thing here with all of these systems is either use them fully inerted and put all your materials for your campaign in there, or if you need to load additional materials, be very careful to get rid of the nitrogen content, take it back to safe facility air before you open any gas tight zippers to load more materials. So those 2 early ones are very manually orientated. Now we've got a system here that is what we call our semi-automated system. The semi-automated system has a manually adjustable gas delivery. So on the image on the right hand side, you'll see we've got the gas delivery unit. In the bottom of that, there is a gas flow meter system. So we set the gas flow meter, and the fan with its electronic speed control system built in, automatically modulates the fan speed to maintain 30 pascals negative pressure within the isolator enclosure, and it slowly takes the oxygen level down to around about 0.5%. This particular isolator was designed to handle a very oxygen sensitive but very potent API. So the exposure limit for the material handled within this little isolator was 10 nanograms a meter cubed exposure limit. If you think about 10 nanograms, a grain of salt, table salt, is about 150 micrograms. So 10 nanograms as a portion of a grain of salt is infinitesimally small. And that's why the customer elected to load material into this isolator using a Lackalane DPTE port you see on the left, which is a very effective way of taking materials in and out without any loss of containment. Because it was a single-use technology, the isolator, the HEPA filters, and the sleeve to the DPTE port can all be taken down and flattened using the vacuum from the fan, so we get a very clean and safe disposal of the isolator at the end of the campaign. This customer, his campaigns usually lasted 3 to 5 days, and the isolator life cycle, I believe, was 3 to 4 months. So they could run quite a number of campaigns with the same isolator enclosure, but they would change it if there was a product change requirement coming through. Let's go to the next slide. Apologies, people. I seem to have got a bit of a freeze up here. There we go. Here we go. So what I want to look at now is a little bit of detail on the semi-automated gas delivery system. So we've been building these since 2015. And essentially what we try and do here is divide the permanent installation from the single-use installation. So on the left, we've got the acrylic pass box, and that houses all of the gas delivery system, the gas flow meters, the gas filtration. You can see the Paul aseptic filters in the yellow casings next to the magnehelic gauges. We've got inflatable sealed doors on the inlet to the pass box and the transfer door from the pass box to the single-use chamber. So what sits on the bench to the left-hand side is what we call the permanent installation, with all the electronics and control packages in it. On the right-hand side, we've got the very low-cost single-use enclosure, and these were supplied gamma irradiated to this customer. Since 2015, this particular design, which I believe was used for cell banking, they've taken about 150 replacement enclosures. So as their bacteria strains change, they put on a new enclosure for every different campaign. Here, we've got a little bit of a more sophisticated and expanded version of the same technology. What we've done here is we've extended the disposable section into 3 chambers. So here we've got gas metering into the pass box and into the first disposable chamber. Then we've daisy chained onto the first disposable chamber an additional 2 chambers, one upper, one lower. And what these chambers do is, well, the first one obviously is a pass box for getting materials in. The second chamber, where it says disposable, that's our product dispensing and weighing chamber. Then the material is passed to the right to what we call a powder transfer chamber. And here we're passing material through a 4-inch diameter transfer port to an AVAX valve and charge bag system. So that material in its inert environment is passed out into a charge bag where it can be safely removed and taken to the next process step. Here, above the pass box, you can see we've put in extra oxygen content monitoring instruments and alarms. So we're keeping the system on track. Again, this system was installed in 2018. It's worked a number of campaigns and it's been rock solid reliable in its operation. Here's a 2021 dated version, slightly more sophisticated controls package here because we've got the automatic speed control unit on it. What we have here is the gas flow meters you see there control the gas flow into the pass box and to the main chamber. The electronic smart fan balances the exhaust flow to maintain the -30 pascals negative pressure. The smart fan controls the inflatable seals and the interlocks on the doors, so we can't open the door when the pass box is saturated, and we can't open more than one door at a time when the gas box is at safe air facility air operation. The rocker switches below the flow meters allow us to switch between nitrogen immersion and compressed air to purge back to safe loading conditions. Now, many of these single-use flexible film systems can be adapted to your process interface requirements, and here we've taken a smaller isolator and we've adapted it to fit to a Telstar Lyobeta lyophilizer. You can just see that where the lyophilizer door is, we've made a special grooved flange part that creates a gas tight seal around the lyophilizer door, and this means it's very easy to snap ring the disposable flexible film isolator to the ring around the lyophilizer door. The permanent gas delivery systems on the left hand side, you can see we've only got one chamber, so we've only got one gas meter. Again, the flexible film isolator was supplied as an irradiated entity for added purity, and this system operated around about 0.5% oxygen content. As we talk about lyophilizers, the biggest lyophilizer door we've accommodated to date with our single-use inert atmosphere isolators is about a 2-meter door size, about 6 foot by 6 foot. But here in this drawing, you see a very much more common layout we'd use for microbiome manufacturing. So we've got an isolator roughly 10 foot wide here that connects up to a lyophilizer using the same groove technology around the door. So we make a mount plate that goes around the lyo door, and that mount plate's got grooves in it to accommodate the flexible film interface, so we get a good gas tight seal. The lyophilizer door opens into the little sub chamber at the front of the main isolator, and that allows us to reach the vial trays and pull them out. Working from left to right in this case, we can open the vials, recover the product, go through a milling process, and then onto a capsule filler. And this entire system operates at 0.5% oxygen content. Even I think this client actually got as low as 0.2%, and we're consuming about 100 litres per minute nitrogen supply. So a very reliable system. Let's look at it in real life. There you see the gas delivery system, front and almost central in there. You can see the back of the quadro core mill, and the HEPA filters that do the gas delivery, they're actually clamped through the flexible film barrier wall. And the idea being, as we saw earlier, when this is contaminated, we can just simply collapse down the flexible film enclosure from the stainless steel frame. No contamination can escape because there's HEPA filters on all outlets. There's a sacrificial sleeve on the quadro core mill, so that is capped off and crimped, so we can take down and remove this flexible isolator with zero escape of any material that's inside, and that's a key safety factor. So we're operating at negative pressure for safety, we're operating at 0.5% or low oxygen content, and we're also making sure that when it comes to changeover, it's fast and it's safe with little chance of any product migration. Now, so far we've been looking at what we call the semi-automated gas delivery system, and that is great for a good many of our customers because they tend to run at the same gas saturation levels on all of their campaigns. However, some CDMOs need a great deal more flexibility, and here we can offer a PLC driven gas delivery system. So we've got Allen Bradley screen images on the left there, and here we've got 3 chambers. The top 2 chambers, the airlock for loading and the main processing chamber where we're doing a stirring and mixing application, are supplied by automated gas dosing valves. There's 2 valves on each chamber, one for nitrogen and one for compressed air to purge back the nitrogen environment to a safe condition if we need to go in there. But the PLC screen allows us to dial up any particular level of oxygen content, say from 30% down to 0.1%, and the control system monitors the oxygen content in the supply line, adjusts the gas flow on the dosing valves, and it models the correct gas delivery throughout the campaign. This particular system operated with a 200 litres per minute nitrogen gas supply. You can see we've got a beacon alarm system on the left hand side of the isolator frame. There's a multicoloured beacon to clarify if we've got an alarm condition, and we had an audible alarm on it as well. The great thing about this is, as I said, both chambers are fully independent and the airlock can be purged back to standard air for reloading. Interestingly, this customer had a 72-day inert gas mixing phase, and that's why we needed to be extra bulletproof on the control technology and with the flashing beacon to indicate any loss of gas saturation over that 72-day period. Like all of our designs at Dover, this is constructed for complete safe disposal at the end of the campaign. So the little HEPA filters you see at the top there, they're again clamped through the flexible film. So when we take the contaminated enclosure down, it all goes as one sealed unit. There's no possibility for any particle escape. And sorry about that. And the PLC screen allows us to monitor very carefully what's going on in there all the time. Now, some of our customers have larger scale operations, and on the larger scale, we have a system here that's been designed around a Frevitt mill. So this was handling 15 kilo batch sizes. You can see we've got a charge bottle inlet, and we had a product recovery below the mill with a pass out through a Dover pack continuous liner. With this system, we were operating at around about 10% oxygen content. But obviously, with a Frevitt mill, we've got an awful lot of powder going through there. We've got a potential risk of operator exposure because we're handling significantly more material. So we had to design in a safe way of pulling the contaminated flexible enclosure around the Frevitt mill head at the end of the campaign that would allow us to get the contaminated enclosure off, again with no loss of containment. But with an operation like this, operator training and SOP development is absolutely essential to make sure that everybody knows how to work it in a safe manner. In the image on the left, you can see during testing, we've got an oxygen meter inside there. So this is, again, fairly simple. This is our semi-automated system, and the little orange box in the bottom of the image is the oxygen content meter we've got in there. So we can let the system purge down until we get to the 10% oxygen level we need. The same customer used a capsule filler further on in their operation, and this too presented challenges. It's a DOT Bonaparte in-cap capsule filler, a fairly high throughput. One of the key things we had to accommodate with the capsule filler is, of course, safety, because we've got a machine with rotating parts and we've got interlock doors inside there. So you can see here, the interlock doors actually sit within the gas-tight flexible enclosure. How do we accommodate the doors? Well, the enclosure was designed with what we call these reversible pockets. So when the door needs to be opened, there's sufficient space for them to swing into the reversible pocket, and that very action lifts the glove sleeves into the correct position to get into the capsule filler to adjust the tooling, change parts, etc. Now, those of you familiar with capsule fillers or tablet presses will be aware that there's quite often a dust exhaust or a dust extraction mechanism built in. And because we're running our capsule filler under an inert atmosphere, we do not want to be wasting that valuable nitrogen. So what we did here is we took away the standard dust exhaust unit and we fitted a single-use collector filter that was part of the flexible enclosure. We then piped this to the machine's own vacuum pump inside the cabinet and returned that gas back through the gas delivery system, so we would recycle as much gas as possible. With this kind of recycle technology through a vacuum pump, we've got to be aware there will be some heat gain, but because this operated for relatively short cycles, in this case the heat gain was acceptable. If it's a long cycle operation, we would need to put some chilled water cooling coils into the gas recycle system. With our work at Dover, we've attached inert isolator technology to quite a number of unusual machines, but this perhaps is one of the most unusual. It was a specially designed Aurora, that's the Swiss company that make blister machines. It was an R550 blister sealer that was designed to manufacture a medical diagnostic device, it was a little bit like a frisbee shaped device made out of very thin clear film, and it was for analyzing blood samples. Now, the reagents in this diagnostic device needed to be sealed in a very low humidity, super low oxygen content environment. So by pumping in a very high flow of nitrogen through this enclosure, we managed to get it to 2.5% and virtually zero humidity conditions, which is what the customer needed to extend the shelf life of their medical diagnostic device. Here the nitrogen flow was around about 150 litres per minute. You'll notice with many of these designs we are getting through rather a lot of nitrogen during the operating cycle, but we tend to bleed off the very minimum we can to maintain a safe negative airflow condition, and I'm afraid that's one of the prices we pay for the safety we get with a negative pressure operation. That'll bring us right up to speed on the 2021 designs. Here we have a system that handles high potency APIs with an exposure limit way below 10 nanograms. In fact, this was for ADC toxins. It is single use and it operates to as low as 0.1% oxygen content in the work chamber, while at the same time being totally disposable. Work's underway right now at Dover for the next generation, where we're going to be targeting not just 0.1% oxygen content, but parts per million oxygen content. Now, we've talked about the oxygen content we need in these products quite a lot. We've talked about the containment efficiency because we run them at negative pressure. What I want to show you now is just the disposability of these systems, and this little video clip will just give you an idea of how it all works. Bear with me, please. The video clip will be starting here. So this is a time-lapse video. And what we're showing here is at the end of the manufacturing cycle, we need to take the enclosure off the frame. And this is just how easy it is. We're keeping the fan exhaust going to pull the gas and air mixture, if it is gas and air or just nitrogen, out of the chamber. The HEPA filters are sealed to the flexible enclosure, and as we unpopper the flexible enclosure from the frame, it becomes more manageable for disposal. The continuous liner system for exit, that's part of the disposable enclosure. And because of the 10 nanogram containment performance target of this particular product, we've got a dual stage exhaust HEPA filter, just to make extra sure there's nothing escaping into the fan or back into the workroom. Here we go. So now we're going to lift up the two-stage HEPA filter at the back. There we go. Pull it onto a table, trolley, take it away. So in real times, and not compressed timescales, we can do a complete flexible enclosure change out on most of these systems within 1 hour, maybe 2 hours max. So we're meeting all the requirements of handling high potency, oxygen sensitive products in a single use package. One of the things we must always consider with nitrogenated flexible film isolators. Well, first of all, as we've been pointing out, we're using high volumes of compressed gas. This 15-cylinder frame that we use in our factory for FATs gives us about 4 or 5 days worth of testing. So a lot of our customers have nitrogen generators and storage tanks for operating the flexible film isolators reliably. The Dover isolator will control its internal environment only, and there are some serious safety responsibilities that the user must consider. In-room oxygen monitoring. We ask all of our customers using flexible film nitrogen-inerted isolators to have multiple room oxygen alarms. We need effective gas venting to atmosphere with absolutely no recirculation possibility. What comes out of the isolated gas delivery system has to go to atmosphere because it's virtually nitrogen saturated. Video or window monitoring of the isolator operators is another key essential part for safety. And of course, emergency drills. What happens if the worst happens and somebody becomes slightly asphyxiated? We need to know how to get people out of there and look after them medically. Introducing any asphyxiant gas into the laboratory demands the highest levels of safety planning. It goes without saying. So, in conclusion, these nitrogen-inerted single-use technologies have been in operation since 2015. We've probably delivered maybe 500 replacement enclosure kits in that time, and the feedback from our customers is extremely positive. The manufacturing batches down to maybe 0.1% oxygen content, reliably, quickly, easily. The customers really do like the fast changeover times that we get with our single-use technology. As I've mentioned, the typical oxygen content with most users is sub 1% and possibly as low as 0.1%. And we've got the ppm level oxygen content system under development, and our first delivery of a 10 ppm system will be towards the end of 2021. And the 6-sided enclosure, as we saw in that video clip, absolutely eliminates the need for any cleaning or cleaning validation, saving you time, and time effectively saves you money. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending this webinar today. And if Stephanie's got any questions, let's throw the webinar open and see if I can answer your questions. Thank you very much for listening.
Yeah, thank you, Martyn. That was a great webinar. Yeah, we actually do have a question. One of our attendees asked, what is the material of the gloves and are they ambidextrous And in regards to glove change out, if there's a failure, how is that handled?
That's a very good question, Stephanie. Thank you. So we supply a range of gloves. On a lot of our isolators, they are ambidextrous, because that means you can put either your left hand or your right hand into the glove sleeve, and that gives you a bit more freedom. We also have a completely safe change, snap through glove change system. So if you've got an inert environment inside your isolator and a finger or something damages on a glove, you take a new glove on a new carrier ring, you pop it down the sleeve, and it snaps through and it pushes the damaged glove into the inert environment. If you think about it, because we're handling super potent products in a containment environment, we developed this technology about 6 years ago. If you'd be kind enough to drop your email details through to Stephanie, we'll send you some really good details of our push safe change glove system. It works really well. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Martyn. We actually have another question. How do we check the glove for a leakage test?
Another good question. So on our disposable isolators, the glove sleeve tends to be welded in to the main flexible film enclosure. So that means we've got a soft boundary to the glove sleeve. However, if we add a 12-inch diameter shoulder ring at the junction between the panel face and the glove sleeve, we can then put an automatic glove inflation tester into that glove sleeve. Again, we've got some really good images of this. We're using the glove leak tester technology on all of our aseptic isolators, and if you'd be kind enough to drop your email details through to Stephanie, we'll send you some images of how we do this. It's a really smart system. It runs the glove sleeve up to plus 1000 pascals, which is a bit of a crazy high pressure, and it does an automated countdown over 90 seconds, giving you a pass or a fail on the glove and the glove sleeve assembly. Thank you.
All right. Great, thank you, Martyn. That concludes our webinar for the day. Thank you to the attendees. Within the next 24 hours, you'll receive a link to the recording for this webinar. And like Martyn said, if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can visit us on our website at ilcdover.com, or you can reach out to the email address that will be provided when the link for the recorded webinar is sent to you. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day. Thank you again, Martyn.
Thank you, Stephanie. Take care. Bye, everybody.